Howard's, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the March 1st meeting of Plano West Rotary. And today is Mardi Gras, so I am wearing my beads that Jen Schertzer has shared with our club. You guys can have them virtually. Maybe you could do like a Mardi Gras background. Well, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it over to our illustrious Sergeant of Arms and past president with a fixed camera, Steve Lawton. Take it away, Steve.
Thank you very much, Alex. I hope everybody had a good weekend. The weather is certainly nicer this week than it was last week. I think we're going to get it all week. So near 70s or in the 70s, who can't enjoy that? And no rain, which is actually not good, but it is if you like nice weather. So let's get our brag started up. Marty James, would you like to brag today?
Sure. Speaking of the cold, I was really fortunate. I was out showing properties over the weekend, and I got to see the most beautiful fountain that was running, but the whole side of it was frozen solid as it was coming out. It was just the most beautiful sight. So I love the weather that we've been having.
Ice sculptures. There you go. I understand. Keith Mencken, would you like to brag today?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'm thrilled to be here. I am, in fact, your assistant governor and have been for a couple years. Delighted to be in that position. A brag I have is we are really close to having our Rotary board game in a position that we can actually start playing it. And if anybody wants to be involved in some of the play testing, get in touch with me through Alex. It should be a lot of fun. It's in the late stages of our development, and hopefully by next year's Pets we'll have it. We'd hope to have it for the Rotary convention, but failed at that, unfortunately.
Thank you very much, sir. Miss Tara Bidwell, would you like to brag today?
So I know Alex probably talked about this last week, but anybody who's checked the calendar has probably noticed that we have a plethora of community service projects this month. So anybody that was feeling like they lacked projects in February, there's lots of choices. So please get on and sign up. And I saw that I have a couple gentlemen that are going to help do the security at the adoption event. And so please, if you are available that Saturday, sign up for a shift. So there are lots of fun things to do to be with the kiddos. So that's my kind of brag / announcement.
Thank you. Let's roll to Normus and see if we got some braggies there at Normus. Anybody want to start?
I guess I'm going to start. I'm getting
Fred.
Trial is going to be held in person this year. We start our getting our applications in and so forth. We'll have interviews with Plano Senior High juniors on March the 22nd, because we have to pick those candidates and give them to the district by April the 1st. So we're going to step out of our comfort zone. And for those of you who don't know Ryla, when you say Camp Ryla, you say reach for the future, and that's what those kids are going to do.
Fred, do you need volunteers that help in your committee?
So a brag for me. So I went to the mall this weekend, and instead of buying myself something, I bought my wife these fuzzy little house shoes. And I'm bragging on the fact that I was not thinking of myself. I was thinking for someone else.
Hey, that's awesome to hear. For what it's worth, that's what the baby's job is, to alert you that nothing's about you anymore. You're fixing to be a dad, right?
Yes,
Who wants to brag next?
I guess I will brag. I don't really have anything to brag about. I voted. Today is election day, guys. And it's Mardi Gras and no one in Texas cares. But happy Mardi Gras. Go eat some crawfish tonight. Get a king cake. That's all I got. Okay, I got lots I could brag about. I think I'm going to brag on my husband for doing the audiovisual at Pets last weekend. He did a great job, and
Hey, Glenn.
PEs and AGs working and collaborating, and so he did a really good job. I think I also would like to brag that Glenn and I know a gentleman in Poland with the he is responsible for all of the buildings of the Methodist churches in Poland, and we've been there and done construction, and we've had a partnership with them before through the Methodist Church. But I want to brag that we are going to start figuring out to collect money that will go to the Methodist level in Poland, in Warsaw, and for the distribution to help refugees in Ukraine. So we're going to try to, everybody, I encourage everybody to try to find a way to help. If you've watched the news at all, it just looks really sad. So that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton.
I also, I would like to brag. I also went to vote, and before coming here, and also for this beautiful day that we have here in Dallas, and just the sun gives you all this energy. Feel like doing so many things around the house and running around. Everything.
Thank you.
This is Joy. I want to do a shout out for Glenn and Michelle because they did such an amazing job at Pets this past weekend as the DG aides. So they absolutely worked their tails off. So
Thank you. Lisa Leach.
Okay, I had one too.
Okay, Glenn, go ahead.
So we had a good question here by Jim. Pets is president-elect training. And I don't know what the S is. There's more than one of them. Anyway, all the president-elects and president nominees, and that's my brag, is Joy and Tamara both attended for the whole weekend. So, very cool. Well represented, Plano West was.
Maybe it's training.
Covered everybody locally, Steve. We'll go back to everybody on Zoom.
Okay, Lisa Leach, would you like to brag?
I don't really have anything to brag on. Just happy to be here.
All right, Lisa, thank you. James Thomas, you always have words of wisdom to share. Do you have any today?
Okay, unfortunately, there's never been any wisdom that's come out of my mouth. However, this time, for all the gentlemen in the group, I'd like to say I am currently bragging on my absolutely amazing wife. I attended a function this weekend, Credit Union of Texas, and I neglected to shave, and I had this white beard on. And she told me not to attend with that beard because I was not only representing myself, I represented her as well. I said, honey, I'm over 50. I wear what I want to wear. She said, but no, it's an embarrassment. I said, Sean, let me wear what I'd like to wear. She said, photos will be of me. Well, they took photos and that was okay. I could deal with it. But the next day I went to Best Buy to get some tax information. And this nice young man said, sir, has anyone told you you look just like Morgan Freeman? I said, of all the black people on TV, you could say I look like, you get the oldest one. I said, Morgan looked like he was 95 when he was born. I immediately went home and shaved all the white off of my face so I could look more like Denzel than Morgan Freeman. So my wife, I went home immediately and shaved and said, honey, you were right. From now on, whatever you say, I will do. Guys, a lesson to you, please. Do what your wife says. I mean, if you want to live, okay?
Yeah. Well said there, Mr. Thomas. Clevie, would you like to brag?
I would, and the only reason I'm not showing my face is I'm feeding my face. So this weekend we had the Pinewood Derby, and this is my 10-year-old's first year in Boy Scouts. He's a Weeblo, and he got third place for Weeblos 2. first time ever submitting his car. So we were super excited about that. He's so proud. I don't know if any of you know, my son is on the spectrum. So it was just amazing to see him open up, blossom, actively participate, and want to help move the cars to and from the track. So, you know, I'm new to being a Boy Scout mom, but I mean, I love Texas. I love everything, the inclusion we have, the love, the family, but our PAC 1776 has really just been a huge blessing to us. So I'm happy and proud, and that's my brag.
Great job. Thank you.
Hey, Steve,
Yep.
what? I messed up on the agenda, so we're going to have to move on now.
Okay. You're
Excellent.
taking away that 5 minutes.
Yes, I apologize.
No
Now we're
worries.
going to ask Roxana. She's going to lead us in the invocation.
Dear God, thank you for the goodness and all the blessings that you give to us. Thank you for the great love and all the care. Thank you for always being with us. We pray, God, for all the people in Ukraine, and Russia, and we pray for peace on earth. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Roxana. Now we're going to have Tara lead us in the pledge. Take it away.
Stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Patrick. I am now going to turn this over to our club's Rotary Foundation chair and our president-elect and Rotary Foundation committee member, Joy Hinkley.
Well, hello, and happy 1st of March, everyone. We made it. It's going by super quick. And again, thank you for joining today. So Joy and I, we will be presenting Paul Harris Fellow. And what that is it's a recognition that acknowledges individuals who contribute or who have contributed and made in their name of $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation. Rotarians have a tradition of supporting the foundation by honoring others. The number of Paul Harris Fellows reached 1 million mark in 2006. I'm gonna hand it over to Joy.
Oh, the screen went black. There it is. So this slide shows you all the fabulous people that have reached the illustrious Paul Harris Fellow status. I think the Plano West Club is very well represented here. And so today, Patrick and I are so happy to have the honor of inducting our newest Paul Harris Fellow. And that is going to be Miss Rosemary Johnson, Alex's mom. So Alex, if you'll come up, we will present you with your certificate and your mom's certificate and pen. These there were several individuals that made donations in Rosemary's name. And the donations came up to such the amount that she earned a Paul Harris Fellow. So here you go.
Thank you. And is that why Keith is here?
I don't know.
Because Keith is one of those who donated towards my mom's Paul Harris Fellow. So thank you, Keith. That's awesome. And thank you, everyone. For those that don't know, my mother passed away in September, and we had requested, instead of flowers and cards, to make donations in her name. And so had a number of friends and a number of Rotarians do that. So that was really special. And something that Bill Dindy said last week, he kind of flew through it quickly. My wife and I also did a named and down fund through the Rotary Foundation in her name, which is through the Bequest Society. So she was very important to me. She's really the reason why everything I do. So I do appreciate.
And your sweet wife didn't tell you, but I reached out to her like a week and a half ago to
Oh, that's how you got
I
these.
asked her a couple of your favorites. So I asked Laura for quietly slip me a couple of Alex's favorite pictures of his mom. And my email was hacked, so I haven't had access to my email until just today. But this morning I got an email that Laura sent me last night, and she had to create a Dropbox. I think there were like 50 some odd pictures in there. So I just went through and picked the ones that I thought were just the sweetest and showed the true love in that family. So
Thank you very much. I don't know. Is Laura online? Does anybody know?
I haven't seen her.
Her father just passed last Sunday. And so we're looking at what's going to be appropriate to do for them. But thank you very much for this honor for my mom. Okay. Now to something less emotional for me, which is actually one of the exciting things about our club is we're going to vote and induct a new member. Now, Marty, she will become a new Rotarian, but she's been volunteering with us for probably a year now. She joins meetings, she's at a lot of different service projects. So I was telling her, sometimes I forget that she's not already a club member. And so I'm glad that we are now voting on her. See, that's where the emotion hit me. So we have Zane is going to run the poll online, and then Glenn runs our vote in person. And we're gonna vote. Zane, Zane's in the middle of class for those that don't know. So he may not be he's like earbuds in class right now. So
Ballot's up.
good. All right. So everybody vote. Guess we just saw how I voted. Awesome. So I'm assuming Marty, I can't see her, but do we see Marty?
Here,
Very good.
I'm here.
Marty, it has been unanimous. You have been voted into the Rotary Club of Plano West.
Thank you.
Now, which I know you've seen our inductions before. So now after the vote, now I get to induct you. So I was telling Roxana, I have done over 50 inductions virtually. Everybody's online. Couple weeks ago, I did my first in-person induction. Well, this will be my first where I'm in person and the inductee is online. So, hey, there's always a different variety, and that's what makes our club amazing. We are very inclusive and flexible for everybody. So I've had to explain that to Trisha. Hey, we're going to work it no matter you want it. So Marty, at this point, I am speaking to you. I'm actually going to make your square big. So you are the only person I'm looking at right now.
Ooh.
So Marty James, you have been proposed for membership and the club has elected you. Therefore, it is my pleasure to induct you into the Rotary Club of Plano West. I understand that you are aware of Rotary's requirements and will follow them. You have offered your services to assist your fellow Rotarians in their community and international projects. As you know, Marty, Rotary is a service club, each member performing what Rotary terms as service above self. Besides service, you will have the benefits of powerful bonds of friendship with fellow Rotarians locally and worldwide. I especially commend to you your attention, the object of Rotary and the four-way test, which form the criteria for Rotarians in their daily lives. When you travel, you will have a special opportunity to attend Rotary meetings and meet Rotarians throughout the world. Really do that. Every city you go to, there's Rotary clubs there. Visit them, and they will treat you like an honored guest. And this is another rewarding benefit of your membership. And now, by the power vested in me as president of Rotary Club of Plano West, I will pin, it's a virtual pin, this Rotary emblem on you and declare you to be an active member of this Rotary Club. So welcome to Rotary. We all look forward to the enrichment of our lives and your own by your association in the world's oldest, largest, and finest service organization, Rotary International.
Woohoo!
Thank you very much.
So Marty, Roxana or somebody on your committee, they will be connecting with you soon with your new member packet and the real pin. And I have a feeling your sponsor, well, I know Catherine's working polls, so she's not here, but you know her well. So I know she's very happy, but I want to give you this opportunity to reintroduce yourself to the club. A lot of people know you. You have been serving with us for a while, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in Plano. I'm originally from California, but I've been in Plano since 1999. I raised both of my boys here with my husband. I've been involved in schools and churches. I worked for a long time as an attorney. I retired, got bored, went back to work. I'm selling residential real estate now, having the time of my life doing that. But my heart and soul has to do with service. And so that's why I'm so excited about this group, because there's so many service opportunities where I can be involved. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
And that's what you do. You're such an amazing servant of the community. And that's why it's been great to get to know you all this time. Like I said, I always thought she was a member of the club.
Thanks, Alex.
Who else did that? LaShawn Ross did that. She visited us and served with us for a year before she finally joined. And that's like, I didn't think you were ever going to join. I really didn't. And so that's awesome. Well, hey, now we're going to do a little club business. It's actually a lot of club business because we have a lot of things going on. All right, we have a board meeting March 21st. It's on Zoom. Every month I encourage everybody to show, but nobody ever takes me up on that offer. We have 8 members of our board. We'll have 9 when the new year starts. Woohoo, we'll be finally, I've fulfilled multiple roles over the years, so next year will be the only time I will have 1 role, so that will be awesome. District Assembly, this is super, super, super important. I say that a lot, don't I? But it really is. It's training. And this is, I'm going to call it Joy's training, because this is training the club for her year. It's actually being led by our district governor-elect, Howard Templin, but it's really being done by Glenn and Michelle Fortin, who kind of do all the work that our district governor is going to be doing for the next year. And so this is the training to prepare everybody for next year. And it's not just, we call it leadership training, but think about our club. We have 24 standing committees, and that doesn't count our project committees. So if you look at all the service projects we do 6 a month. You know, if you got 24 standing committees, 6 service projects at a minimum, that's 30 leaders just from a title perspective. And then our club members are leaders, period, because they're stepping up, and that's called servant leadership. So this training is available to anybody. It's the way it works. Everybody's gotten emails on it, and Marty will forward you yours. Like, Roxana, can you, because she wouldn't have gotten them because she wasn't in Rotary, but forward it to her. You pay, there's a link, you pay $15. When the event's over with, contact Catherine, our treasurer, and you'll get reimbursed to the club, because we have that in the budget. That's how important training is. And we're a poor club, so if we're budgeting for training, it tells you how important it is. And then, so we would love to get, like, how many people do you guys want to district assembly, Michelle and Glenn? Because I know you guys have been putting your heart and soul in this event.
I think we've already got 5 or 6 signed up.
From our club?
From our club.
Go club. So we need about 10 or 15 more. So we're there. If we could get 20 people at district assembly, because what's going to happen, you're going to meet Rotarians from all the Dallas area. And that's one of the greatest things about Rotary, the networking and the relationships. Then you're going to be able to learn and ask questions about stuff that you didn't know you had questions on, or stuff you did that's going to be answered. And you're going to be able to, and this is really, and Joy and I talked about this, this is going to be her show, because this is preparing the club for her year. And so we want to represent Joy, because if we have a couple people there, they're going to be like, what happened to Plano West Rotary? So this is the challenge. We need at least 20 people to show up. Glenn says there's 5, so we need 15 more people. So if everybody in Zoom and everybody in this in person signs up, we're good, because we have at least 20, 25 people total. So make sure we do that. It's only $15. You're going to get reimbursed. Next is the Rotary International Convention. This, I don't want to be cliche and say it's very important, but it's very, very meaningful. I have never, 19 years in Rotary, I've never been to an international convention. That's because the last 2 were virtual. And so this will be my first one. And everybody I talk to says the convention just makes Rotary become alive to you, because you see it at a global level. You get to meet. It's not really a training thing. It is a convention thing. Now they're having breakout sessions, because I'm actually running a breakout session there about our amazing Rotary Community Corps, but they're not training, they're more informative. It's like, because it's one big global convention and it's in Houston. It's probably only in America once every 10 years. So this is the cheapest, easiest to go to. And they dropped the rates. I think it's like,
No, yesterday.
oh, it just went up yesterday. So if you didn't do it yesterday, bummer for you. But it's still, they're keeping the rates lower. So I can't remember what it is. It's like 500 or something. You know, pets cost more than that. So, and then you drive to Houston. So that makes it really cheap. And the district is coordinating travel. I haven't heard that yet, but I know it will be. And so it's finally been solidified. Awesome, Joy. So sign up for the convention. It's not leadership training, but it's Rotary training. It's Rotary culture, connections, networking. It's just so awesome. So that's our little formal how we serve. As we mentioned, February was a light month for us. I think probably in the last 2 years, we did the least amount of service projects in February. We only did 4. Well, that's more than most Rotary clubs do in a year. So, you know, I say that in jest. Last week, we did the food drive-through at Allison Williams High School. Sorry, Tricia, this food didn't come from North Texas Food Bank. It came from Minnie's. But we had, so that's what we did last week. Now, the month of March, we have 8 projects. This is definitely our most packed month for projects, and they're all in the second half of the month, which is kind of interesting. March 12th and on. So we do have the Cleanup Avenue K through the Adopt a Highway program with the city. That's capped at 10. If you want to do that, sign up quickly. It usually fills up. We also, in that, Glenn has been the leader of that for probably at least 5 years. Then we have our partnership with Bed Start, where we're delivering delivering furniture to needy families. And Jen Schertzer found that project and she runs it. And we've been doing that monthly, and we currently cap out at 10. I did learn some disappointing news from Jen. We get 10 people to sign up, but then we get 2 or 3 people that don't show. So if you're going to sign up, you got to show, because so if you sign up, you need to show, because when you don't show, that means somebody who wanted to sign up couldn't sign up. So you're actually negatively impacting somebody that wants to serve. And so if you sign up, you got to be there. But she is going to increase it to 13, but we'd rather have 13 than 10. So if 13 people sign up, we want 13 people to show, and especially delivering furniture. We need all the hands we can get. Now, we have what we used to call our annual event, but we couldn't do it for the last 2 years for COVID. We finally get to do our adoption awareness fair. So then Michelle and Glenn are leading that up, and I understand Tara is actively involved, which makes sense because she's a former CPS caseworker, and so she's handling security. So don't mess up, because her and her team will be on you. There we go, got a smile out of her. I was trying to get something out of Tara there. She was looking way too serious. So sign up for that. We need 50 to 60 volunteers. Click on the link. sign up through our website, just like we do for other projects, but you need to sign up sooner than later because that's not a project that we can fill in the last minute. So, and high schoolers are involved as well as adults. So if you know anybody in high school, if you have friends, they want to support kids, definitely do it. Sign up. It's an amazing fun. And it's just fun. All we do is play games. I mean, so there's nothing formal. You're just going to have fun for a day and help kids find future parents. You can't get any better than that. We also have next on March 22nd, our meal drive-through at Armstrong Middle School. This is North Texas Food Bank food. So yay, Tricia and your staff for this. This is one of our partnership with PISD. So sign up through that. And then we have Bowman Middle School on the 24th, where we need more people to help deliver food to the needy families. And all three of these food pantries are partnerships with PISD, who just got a new superintendent, for those that don't know. And she is amazing. So it's great when they hire from within. Now, on March 26th, we're finally going to sell funnel cakes. We haven't done that in 2 years. And we're going to sell it at the Texas Forever Festival. And Jen found it for us. And Joy is coordinating, working with Fred and Mike Walker on selling funnel cakes. We need 14 volunteers for that. I don't think we filled it up, so definitely sign up for that one as well. And that's on a weekend. Then last but not least, we have our All Plano School 4-way test speech contest. We don't need volunteers for that. Julia Lynn has coordinated that. Keep in mind, she's a UT Austin student, and she is coordinating it from Austin, and she has local support. It's at Plano Senior High School. All the judges are Toastmasters, and I believe all the volunteers at the speech contest are high schoolers. And so, and forget that link. I screwed up on the link. It says Rotary Furniture. That's obviously not the 4-way test speech contest. So that's a project we're doing. And just so you know, it doesn't show up on this calendar. On March 29th, which is a club meeting, we will have 3 of the participants of the All Plano will speak to our club. And so we will have them speak like we did last year, but they will be in person, I believe. And then we will, or the judges will select a winner, and the winner will compete at district. And for those that don't remember, the winner of our local contest, which was Julia Lynn, won at district when she was in high school. So that rounds it out for our club business. So now we're going to have our non-talkative club member, Glenn. Flip the slides.
I'm trying.
There we go. Our non-talkative club member is going to introduce our speaker. So take it away, James Thomas.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. So I get the golden opportunity to introduce Trish Cunningham. For those of you who aren't familiar with this wonderful lady, it means that you're not, you don't take advantage of social media or television, because for the last 3, 4, 5 years, Trish has been on every news station in the world. I've seen more of her than I've seen of Oprah. So she's always, and certainly more of her than I've seen of Morgan Freeman. But Trish has been in my life, personally in my life, because of all the wonderful things she's done for Plano. But a little quick bio on Trish. Certainly she, prior to North Texas Food Bank, where she's made amazing leaps for us, she served as 30-year global marketing, communication, branding, and public affairs executive for Texas Instrument, where she was also served as the chief citizenship officer. She also served as the director for Feeding Texas. She was the chair of that. And some things that I love, the fact that Girl Scouts of Northeast Texas and International Women Forum for Dallas chapter. And the wonderful global thing is she's Rotary Club of Park Cities. Not only that, but Alex, serving, drawing attention to your mother who received the Paul Harris Award. Tricia also received the Paul Harris Fellow award for Park City. So Trish, thank you. Not only that, because I know my wife wouldn't let me get away if I didn't mention this one. She was also named as Dallas Business Journal 2020 Women in Business Honoree and 2020 Most Inspiring Leader for Junior League of Collin County 2019 Nonprofit Executive of the Year. Trish, a lot of stuff, but I'd be here all day if I mentioned everything you've done and everything you do. But certainly for the city of Plano and North Texas, you have been amazing. And I've loved everything that you've done. So thank you, Trish, for spending time with us in Plano West Rotary.
Well, James, thank you so much. What a delight it was to see you here today, as well as Alex. I didn't know you were a part of this club, so that was an extra delight for me. Yes, we know that there are hungry children in Plano, and James is right there along our side as we collect peanut butter and things that we do to make sure that we can serve those children effectively. So again, it is a wonderful delight for me to be able to be here today. Let me share my screen. Oh, I can't share. So maybe somebody can fix that for me so I can share my screen. And we fixed. Okay, good. Oh, host disabled participant screen sharing. Let's try one more time. There we go.
Now you should be able to.
Yep, we got it now. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, I'm going to fix my screen now so I can see you, because I like to look at y'all whenever I'm talking instead of my screen. So give me just a hot second here to be able to do that. And then we're going to get going. Awesome. So anyway, we have been here in Plano since August of 2018. This is the front of our campus. How many of you have been to our campus? A lot of you, most of you actually, it looks like. That's fantastic. We are so blessed to be able to serve from here. We could not have met the needs through the past few years if we had not had this fabulous facility here in Plano. It's 230,000 square feet. We are basically a nonprofit logistics organization, is what I tell people. We gather and distribute food, and we have many mechanisms of how we're able to do that. What I wanted to call your attention to, in case you have been out, or maybe you've been out and you don't know the story, is the story of this X in front of our building. This is called Lulu May's Mark, and it's named after Miss Lulu May Pruitt. She was the father of Ross Pruitt and Betty Pruitt, and they have been longtime supporters of the food bank. But what is so poignant to me about this is that back in the Depression, some of you may know that whenever there was a lot of hunger in the Depression, and the way that passersby would know that a house would provide food to them is if there was an X on the curb. They put the X on the curb, and the Pruitt family lived in Texarkana at the time. And Ross saw this X on their curb and realized what it was. Said, "Well, Mom, you want me to go wash it off?" And Miss Lulu May told him, said, "No, son, these are people just like us. They're just a little down on their luck." So they were proudly engaged in this whole issue of trying to make sure that they fed their neighbors who were in need. And so we are proud to have that X on our curb, because we know this is a place where so many people can get access to nutritious food that they need in order to be able to thrive as well. So if you haven't been out, I invite you to come out and be able to see it here and volunteer with us here as well. So we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. We actually just had our 40th anniversary gala about a week and a half ago. We've never done a gala before, so this is probably our one and only until we maybe get to 50 years or something. But we have really been able to do this work in our community since we established in 1981, and then 1982 is when we really started distributing food. So it's just been an honor and a privilege to be able to do this work overall, because we know the needs have only grown. That very first year that we were established, the food bank distributed 400,000 pounds. We did more than 400,000 pounds yesterday. So that just shows the needs that have continued to grow over these 40 years that we have been there. So this is a little bit about us. So some of you may think, oh, well, the North Texas Food Bank is just a big food pantry. Actually, that's not what we are at all. We serve 13 counties. We serve 10,000 miles. You can see our founders there back in 1982. They had so many struggles and hurdles that they had to overcome in order to be able to distribute food. It initially was started as a food rescue type organization where they saw food going to waste and they saw hungry people and they wanted to be able to bridge that gap. And how do we do that? But there's a network of 200 food banks now across the country. We serve every zip code in the country as part of a membership organization called Feeding America. Feeding America doesn't distribute food, but they help provide best practices and advocacy and national donor relationships. So those of us that do can do that. one of the things that was very attractive to me whenever I came to the food bank was just the effectiveness and the efficiency of the organization overall. With every dollar of resource that we bring in, 95% of that goes directly to feeding programs. So we try to keep our overhead low so that we can serve more as well. And actually, a dollar provides access to more than 3 meals in our community, but we're trying to keep that steady because we're having to purchase a lot more. And guess what? Food costs have gone up. So we're hoping to be able to maintain that statistic as well. So let's talk about who's hungry here in North Texas. You see it. You guys are going out. You're serving in the community. You know what is happening overall. But really, we have 800,000 people in those 13 counties that we serve. And the highest needs are in Dallas County. But anybody want to guess where the second highest need is? It's in Collin County. So if you look at those 13 counties and you would think, oh my goodness, look at all the affluence, look at everything that's happening in our community. But the second highest need is right here in Collin County. And so we have in our service area, like I said, a total of 800,000. We serve seniors. We serve vulnerable populations. We primarily serve families. And the majority of those before the pandemic, and people are getting back on their feet, these are working families. They just can't make ends meet on the wages that they're bringing in. So whenever James is seeing this at Plano ISD, he knows that these kids, their families are working, they're trying to make ends meet, but it's just difficult. And think about right now with inflation, what's going on. Have you been and filled your car up lately? $3.50 to be able to fill up your car, per gallon to fill up your car. And these families have cars and they need transportation to get to work. And so they're using their resources in other ways. And then in order to pay their rent, sometimes they need to access charitable food assistance. One of the things that we have learned during the pandemic is that 40% of the people that we were serving had never needed charitable food assistance before. So these are families that all of a sudden they were making it from week to week, but then they had the rug pulled out from under them when everything shut down and they didn't know where to go or where to turn. So thankfully us and our partner network was able to help serve them overall. So this is just another slide to really talk about, what does hunger prevent us from doing? It prevents children from being able to thrive in school. Imagine you're a child sitting in the classroom and you haven't had dinner the night before, or maybe you missed breakfast that morning. Our schools, we're very grateful for them because they provide breakfast and lunch to so many of the children. But imagine if you were there and you didn't have that and you were sitting there and your stomach was rumbling, you can't concentrate what the teacher is saying, which is going to impact your academic ability as well. You're going to be irritable. You may close up. You may not be able to concentrate, and you may really shut down. We have heard from so many different educators that have talked about the impact of having access to food and what that means on the children that they're serving in the classroom, and just their whole change of even their ability to communicate and to interact with the other children in the classroom as well too. But we also know that it stops adults from succeeding in their careers. If they can't take the time to go to a workforce development class, or they can't take the time to be able to go back to school and maybe get an additional education, it makes it very difficult for them to earn a livable wage, which may be the thing that's having them have access to charitable food assistance and also just living their healthiest lives. Many people that have health issues, they have for so many years struggled to be able to have access to nutritious food. It can lead to things like diabetes and heart disease and all these conditions whenever you have a history of eating unhealthy food overall. I have a video here, but it's about 5 minutes and I'm not actually going to show it. I will send the link to Alex because I want to make sure that we keep you on time and we have time for any questions that you may have. But it really does, it's about the day in the life of a single mother who has a child and they don't have enough food in the home, and it shows how one of our partner agencies has helped them to be able to get access to the food. But it is a very typical scenario that you're going to see in our community. Whoops, I'm going to quickly go by there before it starts. So this is what we do. We get food. We get it from government programs. We get it from donated food. We get it from purchased food. Our purchased food went up last year 6x what it normally had been before the pandemic. This year we've normalized down a little bit. We're about 3x still what it was, 3 to 4 times what we were purchasing. But I mean, we were purchasing before the pandemic about $5 million. of food a year. Now we're purchasing a lot more. So where does that food go? So Alex, I'm going to actually put a little bit of a quantifier on you here. Whenever you said that food that Minnie's distributed wasn't from the North Texas Food Bank, I can probably guarantee that a lot of the food that was in that box from Minnie's came from the North Texas Food Bank. They're one of our partner agencies, and we are so proud that you are working with them, because we cannot do what we do in the community without the partners that are out there with the food pantries. Those are the trusted members of the community. We have over 250 of those that are across the 13 counties that we serve. On average, about 80% of the food that we distribute goes through our partner network. So only 20% of it goes through our own direct mobile distributions, our senior citizens programs, our children's program. 80% goes through those partners. And on average, about 80% of their food comes from us. So they get local donations as well too, but they're able to, and it's truly, it is an and situation. It's not an either or, it is an and situation whenever we work with our partners. So in addition to that, we also do social services programs. We have a team of individuals here that go and help individuals figure out, do they qualify, or could they be assisted by some government programs? And so they are actually partially funded through the state to be able to go and help those in the community that need access to additional services. If you haven't been here though, I'll tell you, we have, the building's 230,000 square feet. It's a huge warehouse. A lot of people akin it to being able to walking into Home Depot or Costco or something. It's just racks and racks and racks and pallets of food. We have about 30 trucks, including semis, box trucks, mobile trucks that are going out into the community overall and making sure that we get the food distributed to where it needs to be. I know children is something that's extremely important to many of you as well. And it's really very sad that we have the rate of food insecurity for children that we have in our country overall. Quite honestly, I think it's just really unacceptable. Because if you look here in our service area for the North Texas Food Bank, I told you about that 800,000 number. That's the 5th highest number of individuals who are food insecure out of the 200 food banks across the country in their service areas. But when you look at children, we have the 4th highest number of children who are food insecure right here in North Texas. And that's crazy. Why is that? And why should that be? We're such an affluent community where we see all these skyscrapers and new buildings and corporations that are starting to locate here because of the, economic fortune that we, that's here. But then we also have some of the greatest needs in the entire country. So I think that's something that many people are very shocked about, is to be able to know that. But the good news is that with the community support is that we can try to meet those needs and try to ensure that while there may be needs in a family, people do not have to go hungry. So let me talk a little bit about this new plan that we had. So during the pandemic, our team really stepped up. We went from providing access to about 77 million meals per year to that last fiscal year, that our fiscal year ended last June, June of 2021. We provided access to more than 125 million meals. So we went from 77 million to 125 million over time. But we also used this last year as an opportunity to sort of rethink, where do we need to go from here? So we called this Nourish North Texas, and we have 2 components of it. One of it is food for today. And so that's making sure that we can continue to do what we're doing with food and distributing it out as to as many places as we need it equitably. We're looking at, what types of food we need to be serving, and geographically, where are there areas. We've worked with Bain Consulting to put together a heat map of where there are high needs and where our food pantries are, and then where there's gaps in service. So we know that's where to be able to direct some of our services to go into communities where there is not access to a current food pantry. And then we try to build the community support around being able to continue to meet the needs in that area. So that's the food for today. Hope for tomorrow is thinking about what can we do to bring our core competency of food alongside services that we know families need in order to get beyond the issue of poverty, because really hunger is a symptom of poverty, and we want to make sure to be able to address that holistically. So we don't offer workforce development training. We don't offer healthcare programs, but there are so many in our community that already do that, and we don't want to duplicate those services. So what do we do to try to help accelerate their progress? So in addition to our partner network, we have surveyed them, and we know about 68% of them offer at least one additional, what we call surround service. They come to there because they're hungry, they need access to food, but they try to find out why they're hungry and be able to assist them. So we want to be able to put together and help our partners have access to additional services that their neighbors need. Also, with that, we're looking at, are there ways that we can go and look at non-traditional partners? Maybe it's a hospital that might have a pantry on site so that they could direct families down to get a food prescription if they need access to food for a particular health condition. So we've got about 3 pilots going on right now in various areas. And based on the outcomes of those, we'll continue to be able to select some partners to be able to help us with this mission. So if you look at, what we do today, everybody always says, well, how can I help? What can I do? And certainly you guys know about service and how to be able to volunteer. I've got some additional ideas on that, so I'm going to skip that one for now. But as we said, donations for every $1, we can provide access to 3 meals, and 95% of our resources goes to programs. We have participants that participate in virtual and canned food drives that brought in over 1 million pounds of food last year. So don't ever discount the impact of those drives as well. And the other thing is advocacy is extremely important. Today is election day. So, I certainly look at a lens of who are the individuals that really care about their neighbors, and who are those that we know that we can work with. We are nonpartisan here at the food bank. We work with very effectively with both sides of the aisle, but we know that whenever our neighbors in need, we're going to go advocate for them and make sure that there's policy in place that will help us to be able to serve them as effectively as possible. So let's talk more about what you do. Alex and I have been having some conversations and thinking about what are some things that we could do here. Certainly we have our ongoing opportunities Tuesday through Saturday, 2 shifts a day here at the food bank, where you can sort or pack food here at the food bank. We rely on our volunteers to make sure that we have this days on hand inventory that we need to be able to distribute out at these schools. We put together these nutritionally balanced food boxes, and the needs for those went up during the pandemic versus going down because there's so many more people that are in need. We have our mobile pantry distributions that go out to the sites, just like what you've been doing. So you're very familiar with this. It's doing the mobile distributions at a site location. We have senior citizens. We have food boxes that are specially developed for senior citizens, and we go to community centers to be able to distribute those as well. James knows about the peanut butter drive. The peanut butter drive is extremely important to us because one thing I didn't talk about was our children's program. So we do have the school pantry programs that we take on site and distribute at the schools, what you have been involved with. But in addition to that, we have our Food for Kids program that actually was originated in Plano, and Mayor Harry LaRoseliere is the one who started that. James has been part of our peanut butter committee. And because we know that there are so many children that don't have access to what the food that they need over the weekend. So children and counselors can identify those who are hungry. They exhibit behaviors like think about snack hoarding, or always asking what time are we going to eat, or they're always complaining about being hungry. So those are the students that are identified, and the teacher can say, you know what, I think they need access to this Food for Kids program. And it's a bag of food that is kid-friendly, nutritionally balanced, and it usually has a jar of peanut butter in there as well too, because that's our #1 requested item. We also have opportunities for volunteers if they want to do pickup of these canned food drives or do some delivery. We have our garden here. We do use that as a teaching garden, just because people often don't understand where food comes from. And how do we do that? We have nutrition programs where we teach nutrition classes. We have a program called Cooking Matters. We have even virtual opportunities for social media ambassadors. And then we have administrative and other skills-based projects as well. So pretty much about any way anyone wants to be involved is a way that someone can. I can tell you what Alex and I have been talking about with the Park Cities Club. They also have a focus on hunger as well. And then Alex and I were in Leadership Dallas together. We have another colleague who's going to be the incoming president at the Dallas Rotary Club. And we were actually just brainstorming, are there things that we might even be able to do together? Is there some kind of project? And so they would love to be able to have some collaborations to come alongside. I know that there are some things that they're easy to do, which would be like packing days, but maybe there's other things as well too. So we're trying to make sure that the leaders that are over those initiatives can chat and maybe think and plan for your future Rotary years to see if there's some collaborative ways that we can work together for impact as well. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of Austin and Bria, because these are just some of our success stories, and I'll open it up really for any questions that you may have. But Austin came to one of our food pantries over in Louisville. He lost his job in October of 2021, and he was really challenged to be able to feed his family of 4. But his mother and his grandmother encouraged him to go and get some assistance to go to the food pantry. So he went to Heart in the City, which ended up just being about 6 minutes from where he lived. And this is one of those situations where he didn't know where to go and turn for help. And that they got them on the right path. They helped them to get the food assistance they needed, and really just took a burden off of the family just to be able to help support them in their time of need. And there's so many stories like Austin and Sweet Bria there that we help every day. And we do that with our community support. That's the only way we can do it. And our government support and everything coming together, our feeding network, our partners, and those like you who are the hands and feet and the service in our community. So my gratitude to you. And I know I went through a lot of things really quick, but I'd love to be able to answer any questions that you may have.
Hey Trisha, it's Jennifer Schertzer. So good to see you, and thank you for doing this and taking the time.
Hey.
Can you talk about the size of North Texas Food Bank in relation to other food banks in Texas or even in the US?
Yes. So if you look in Texas in particular, there are 21 food banks in Texas, and we are the second largest in Texas. Houston Food Bank is the largest in the country. They have a very large service area, and they probably, they are probably almost twice our size. But if you look at in Texas, we're about the second largest. And it really is going to depend on what you look at. Is it food distributed? Is it client served? What is it as far as the size of us versus the 200 food banks across the country? Depending on the metric, we're probably, as far as size goes, 7 to 9. We're certainly in the top 10.
Hi, my name is Michelle Thornton. I have a comment and a question. So my comment, since we have so many new members in our club and some visitors, is I wanted to just point out that Plano West Rotary has donated hundreds of dollars to the North Texas Food Bank in the past. So we love you guys and we really support you. And also the peanut butter drives, I think we're done by all the Plano clubs. So our club and the other Plano clubs have all worked together to drop peanut butter off in downtown Plano and all of that. And Glen Eagles and supported your peanut butter drives too. So I wanted to just let everybody know that we're already on your team, and these are exciting new things that you've got going for us. My question for you is, it seems to me from my work, at least, that so many people want to actually buy the food and bring it to you rather than writing a check. And so I would love it if you would explain how much more food you can get for that same amount of money than we could, just to help us.
That's a great question. We're going to tell you that we will take engagement any way we can get it. Sometimes people just want to tangibly go and purchase food, and they want to be able to do that. What we've been trying to do is be a little bit smarter with some of those canned food drives, because when we get this mixed box of food, sometimes someone has just cleaned out their pantry of the stuff that they don't want and that they wouldn't eat themselves. And so our volunteers have to go through there, and it's very discouraging whenever they have to throw away food that we can't distribute. I will tell you to go to the USDA though and look at date codes, because there is, canned food for the most part, we can still distribute within a year after the best by date. Doesn't mean it's expired by the best by date, and typically even longer than that. So we have a lot of opportunities to do that. But yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, money, we can take that money and really multiply it a lot more than a consumer going to the grocery store can, because you have to go, you have to get the food, you have to donate the food, then somebody has to pick up the food, bring the food back to the food bank, then it has to be sorted for quality, it has to be packaged, where if we can buy the pallet, we already know what the date code is, we can just take that right off the truck and put it in inventory. So it's less labor. to be able to do that. But I'm going to tell you that, we can do it. We'll take it any way we can get it. But we've been doing a lot more virtual food drives, which allows individuals online, like even at some of our clubs, I know the Park Cities Rotary did a virtual food drive where you can go online and you can select, a case of green beans or something like that. And the equivalent of what it would cost for that, we can take that and then we can order it with our next order. And it really makes it a lot more efficient for everyone.
Awesome. Trisha, thank you very much. She did point out, Trisha and I, we originally met in 2009 in Leadership Dallas.
Best class ever.
You were in best class ever. You were a TI, I think, wasn't like Chief Citizenry Officer?
Chief Citizenship Officer, yes.
There we go. So it's awesome watching her just blow up North Texas Food Bank over the last 5 years. And they just, like James said, greater and greater things. And she is always in the news. So I'm like, wow, I knew her when she was just a little person. She's awesome. I was joking. She is down to earth and amazing. Well, Trisha, one thing we would like to do in our club is, in appreciation for your time and program, Plano West Rotary will donate $10 in your name to the Rotary's Polio Plus Fund, together with the 2-to-1 matching funds from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Your $10 will turn into $30, which will provide polio vaccine for about 50 children. And so being that you're a Rotarian, that'll just add to your already giving. And then you may not know this, but we like to point out that Rotary is using its polio infrastructure to aid in the vaccination of COVID-19, especially in the third world countries where their vaccination rates are a pittance of what ours are, barely hitting 10%. So your donation is going to help both polio and COVID-19.
So, that's amazing. Thank you, Alex. I actually I have donated to the polio fund myself, but I did not know that they were leaning on Rotary to be able to help us to use the infrastructure for the COVID-19. That's wonderful news.
You're awesome. Thank you for speaking to us. And like Michelle said, our club has been involved with North Texas Food Bank in a lot of different areas. And this year it's every month. With our food pantries with the PISD. And as you know, James is our PISD point man on all things in terms of doing good. So I appreciate your support. I don't know if everybody knows, remember we did our massive Barron project? In the last minute, Trisha, her staff, they provided all that food with probably a week notice. Got us the whole, we were able to help a lot of people that day. So I always say lots of great things about North Texas Food Bank.
Hey, Alex, quickly, I'd like to say, Trish, Jan Pruitt is smiling, looking down and smiling. Thank you.
Thanks, James. That means a lot. And for those of you that don't know, Jan Pruitt was the CEO of the North Texas Food Bank for 20 years. I'm coming up on my 5th anniversary this summer, believe it or not. But she did amazing work here and certainly had a heart for everyone. And I agree with you, James. I think she would be proud of the foundation she laid that we've been able to build upon.
That's amazing. Well, next week, everybody, we will have James Kennedy. He's going to talk about solar energy, the 5 winds of solar energy. So a week from today, and we also have an induction, a vote-in induction for Brett Moore. So I think a number of people volunteered with him. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Michelle.
All right. If y'all would please all join me in the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Rotary!
Bell!
Ring the bell.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week.